we're doing yet another fantasy football mock drafts, our third of the week, but it's August, so we're doing fantasy football mock drafts all month to get you prepared for the real fantasy football draft that you're going to do with your longtime league or whatever, or new league or whatever. So we'll be getting to that tonight. I'm going to post the link in the chat right now. We have 5 spots available. The last time I looked, no, we have 2 spots available. So you guys have to get in a hurry. Number 2 and number 3 are still available. I'm drafting out of 5. My co-host for tonight is drafting out of 10. Before we intro him, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for the merch store. Of course, I'm wearing something from the merch store. It is our Watson and Tucker massage parlor. Get your happy ending today. It's a funny t-shirt because if you look closely at the image, it may be like, okay, it's a massage parlor, but it looks like the shadiest massage parlor ever. Like you'll probably get like a disease if you go there. And the word massage is misspelled on it. That's intentional. So you can get that. You could get our new shirt. We have a new shirt here. It is our Adam Aaron F to me t-shirt. So if you lost money on AMC like I did, you can get revenge sort of by that. We have 15% off sale. So 50% off everything. You can go to Amazon, buy my books. The most recent one is Jerks to the College Years, where I made fun of people. I was at Penn State for 6 years and I had a lot of writing material. So that was a lot of fun to write. I think you guys have a lot of fun reading it. Also, please consider super chat, super stickers. RMAC has been our hero. $20 super chat this week, $40 last week. He's been incredible. So thank you so much, RMAC. Also in the past, like Slew, John Sanders, Cam McNeagle, DeJanon, Carmack. You guys have been so great. So, all right, we are joined once again by Mike Lucene of NFLRoughDraft.com. Mike, how's it going?
It's great. You know, draft season is really kicking off, and this is a great time to be drafted. I have 6 FFPC drafts coming up in the next week or so, and this is going to be good practice tonight.
Nice. Yeah. And Mondo's saying I'm 1 or 2 in my actual league. So yeah, it's always good to know where you're drafting so you can practice. I don't know. I know in one of my leagues I'm drafting 3rd, I think. So I should probably practice for that, but I went with 5th tonight, just because I just did a draft on DraftKings, where I drafted 5th. So I kind of want to see how this goes in a, not best ball, but like real fantasy football draft. So you're picking 10th, and any reason for that, or it's random?
Yes.
Whatever.
So I'm picking 10th because when I logged on, you were picking 5th, and I figured if we're going to be talking about our picks, I should pick somewhere that's kind of far away from you.
Yeah. Brian with the 99-cent super chat. Thank you so much, Brian. Really appreciate it. If you have any comments you want to mention here, just send them our way. Just any help you guys can provide is awesome. Like this exceeds what we're going to make on YouTube ads. Like seriously, YouTube ads pay nothing. So thank you so much, Brian. I can't say it enough. Like you, RMAC, John Sanders, Slew, like you guys are so awesome. All right, so we can start the draft. We are full, I believe. Is that correct? Yes, we're full. So let's start the draft. And RMAC is on the clock at 101. So yeah, we've been doing fantasy drafts all week. Obviously, my 3rd one. We didn't do one Monday. And yeah, I mean, I feel like the strength of these other owners in here is so like insane. Like I feel like I walk away from these drafts just thinking like, oh man, I'm not going to hear like the top 4 go. Usually, if you do a draft on DraftKings with best ball, you get like CeeDee Lamb off the board, and I'm like, I don't really have interest in CeeDee Lamb. However, here at the spot, you either have to draft Justin Jefferson, who has a hamstring, or CeeDee Lamb, or the other one is Malik Neighbors, but his toe injury is a concern as well. So, man, this is rough. I'm just going to go with Jefferson. He's the best player available. It's a rough spot, the number 5 spot. That's kind of like why I wanted to draft here as well. So who would you have taken there if you had the 5th pick?
You know, I think Jefferson makes sense. The hamstring, like you mentioned, seems like it's not a big deal. I personally would have gone Lamb just because he doesn't have the hamstring issue. And then, we don't know what to expect from JJ McCarthy. You hear a lot of sort of mixed things with him. You hear my buddy Thor Nystrom, I love the guy, but he's a little overboard when it comes to just JJ McCarthy hype. It's like he's a Vikings fan, and it kind of shows. But I've heard that the team might not be quite as high on him as some of these super fans are. And Dak, I know there's jokes and everything with how good he is, but he's a good quarterback, and it's a team that's going to throw the ball a lot. So I slightly prefer Lamb for those reasons, but Jefferson is right there. I mean, I thought that was a great pick.
Thor's great. I met Thor once. For those of you who don't know, he used to write for Roto World. I don't know if he still does, but he used to at least. So I was in Minnesota for the Super Bowl, so that's where he lives. So we decided to meet up, and we met up at some restaurant. And when he first saw me, he's like shocked. I was like, what's going on? And he's like, Walt, I thought you were like 65 or 70 years old. Because I was never on video back then, so he didn't know. So I thought that was pretty funny. And I actually got that today. Someone in the comments of Fantasy Football Counselors video, which I was on the show again today. Someone in the comments said, "Oh, I thought Walter was an old head." So I don't know why I give off this vibe of like being like a boomer or something, but anyway, I thought that was such a funny reaction. He's like, "Wow, I thought you were 65 or 70." So you took Christian McCaffrey at 110. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, I prefer McCaffrey to Gibbs. I think that they're pretty close, but Gibbs still has Montgomery there. He has a lot of other skill position players that are going to get the ball. I know Laporta is a little bit banged up right now, but in San Francisco, it's McCaffrey, Ricky Pearsall, Kittle, and then a bunch of guys who are injured. And yeah. I'm on the clock again here, so let's see. You know what? I'm staying on brand, and I'm going Brock Bowers.
Wow.
Because, I mean, again, in a PPR league, he might not have 112 catches again this year, but if he's got 100, that's a huge advantage being able to put a tight end with 100 receptions into your spot. And that offense, one, they got a pace upgrade because Chip Kelly runs a lot of plays. Two, it's just an offensive coordinator upgrade. And a huge quarterback upgrade. Geno Smith is mediocre. That's fine, but he's still way better than Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. And, the defense is going to be worse this year. They're starting Eric Stokes is their best cornerback right now. He's a bust from the Packers, former first-round bust from Green Bay. So I just like being able to draft Bowers, have that positional advantage, and just being done with the position.
That is nice that you don't have to worry about that at all. AJ Brown went. These are all players I was considering: Brown, Achane, London. If I'm not mistaken, Chase Brown's still available. He's going to catch a ton of passes in Cincinnati. I still have not listened to Ben Wassley's video on why I shouldn't draft Chase Brown. I was going to do it last night, but then I got caught up in something. I got distracted, so I didn't get a chance. Ben Wassley is he runs FFDFantasyFootball.com. He's super accurate in weekly rankings, and he posted a video on why you shouldn't draft Chase Brown. So I don't know if anyone in the chat has listened. I'm very curious as to why. I love Chase Brown. Do you like him or like that pick, or if not, like what would you have done differently there?
I love the pick. I think Chase Brown anywhere in the second round is a great value because of what you said. He's going to catch passes. If I had to guess why somebody would say that he isn't a value in the second round, I think I mentioned this in a couple of my videos, but we know that the Bengals trust Samaje Perine. We know that his value is in the passing game. They trust him in pass protection. Obviously, pass protection is a huge deal when you have Joe Burrow and you have to keep him healthy. But I don't really see Perine factoring in that much. I mean, I don't even think he gets every third down. I think that somebody that was going to make the case against Chase Brown would argue Perine would be the third down back, and that's going to cut into Chase Brown's receptions.
Yeah, I really don't see Perine doing much. I wonder if maybe that's what Ben mentioned. I don't know. We had a bunch of running backs. James Cook really stands out. He went 212 because he signed the contract. Have you elevated Cook at all with the contract, the holdout being over?
No, I mean I don't. Players don't have any leverage when it comes to these holdouts. They always end up showing up by the time the season starts. I've got James Cook at the end of the third round in my rankings, and I kept him in the exact same spot. Same goes with Terry McLaurin. Like I have no doubt Terry McLaurin will be there at some point. I think worst case, maybe he misses a week. I'd be surprised at that. I'll bet he just reports at some point, within the next couple weeks.
Does it scare you at all that they miss practice and they might be more prone to injury? Because that's what really worries me with both Cook and McLaurin.
Yeah, well, I mean, Cook's been practicing, and then he's had, days where they say he's been holding in and he hasn't been practicing. So he's kind of been sprinkling in some practices. With receivers, I don't worry as much. And I mean, you remember Jamar Chase last year, right? I mean, it was getting close to week 1, and he hadn't signed, or he hadn't shown up yet.
That's
And
true.
he clearly had a great season.
Yeah. Mundo, the great start, I think. Bijan now. Kyron and Hampton, love that start. I was hoping to get one of those, Williams or Hampton, at 305. Unfortunately, my dreams have shattered. Luckily, this is only a mock draft, not a real draft. But yeah, so we had, it's interesting, 2, 3, 4, all went double running back as did 9. It's funny, how that goes. Running backs do go earlier than in here than best ball, which I always find interesting because it's always I feel like I always have to adjust. I'm not used to it, but I feel like most of the running backs tend to go 6 to 12 picks earlier than they usually do. Obviously not the top guys, but I don't know if you found that to be true as well. But I think it's a weird dynamic.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think because you're getting those backup quarterbacks are getting pushed down, and even some of the starters are getting pushed down because you only need one. And I also think I think I mentioned this last week, but the closer you get to the season, I feel like the more you have people who maybe haven't been drafting or paying attention since May or June come back and they panic. They're like, oh, I need to fill my running back spots. That's kind of just, I feel like that's just kind of like the casual fantasy football player mindset. Like I need my running back spots filled.
That's true. Yeah, I found that to be the case too. Maybe because best ball is 3 receivers, and receivers are there's more variance to them, so they're better off. I feel like you want a receiver in the flex spot because they could have the spike week or something. I took Jackson Smith and Jigba there. I was considering a running back. I assume he's not going to fall back to me, but I kind of want to see where he goes, and I'm not going to mention him until he's drafted. This running back has risen a lot recently. I assume you know who I'm talking about because he had a big play in one of the preseason games. But he used to go 5th round, sometimes 6th. And all week, I've done 6 drafts or so this week, not counting these on DraftKings, something 6 or 7. He has gone 403 to 406 in all of them. So it's quite the rise. And like I said, running backs go earlier in these sort of drafts. So I suspect he's ultimately going to go late 3rd round or mid 3rd round, and in most leagues. But some leagues they might be behind too. So. I was also wondering if the quarterbacks would come back to me, but we had we just went Jackson, Daniels, Hurst back to back. I was considering one of the quarterbacks, but I don't know. I just want to see how it went. You went Marvin Harrison Jr. You want to talk about that pick?
Yeah, I think he's going to be better. They're going to move him around a lot more. He was pretty much locked into that X position last year. There's a lot of miscommunication with Kyler Murray, and now Kyler Murray's had an off season. They've got more their offense is almost entirely the same, but they've got Zay Jones there, who is capable of playing the X position, which he's not fantasy relevant or anything like that, but it at least frees Marvin Harrison up to kind of move around because Michael Wilson couldn't do that. I think he's in for a breakout year. I love that value at the end of the 3rd round. And you're right, Travion Henderson did get picked a 401, so pretty close to the 3rd round.
Yeah. Well, you're on the clock now, so I don't want to distract you, but I do want to ask you where you would draft Henderson now. Let's see. It's clarified because you're misinterpreting what I said last night. Ben didn't make entire video not drafting Brown. I figured he's one of the players. I didn't think it was a solo video, Cassandra. I sorry if I made it seem that way. But I assume I assume that there are other players on there too. Burrow's off the board. Mike, you're killing me here. I was going to take Burrow. I'm just kidding. So want to talk about Burrow there?
Yeah, I don't love early round quarterbacks, but he's clearly the best option left. There's a huge drop off after him. And, I thought about taking Breece Hall right there. I think he'll get traded at some point. I don't know if it'll be before the season or closer to Halloween when we get to the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
But Breece Hall is he's sort of like in no man's land for me. I don't mind him in the 4th round, but I don't feel good about him in the 4th round at this point.
Yeah. I don't either. I might be forced to take him though. As sad as it is, I wanted Hubbard. Slew took Hubbard. So I feel like you guys are very cruel to me here. So there's not it's not like a lot going on at running back. I took a certain player around this area last night, and like people were like, oh, "Really?" I'll say who that is when he's drafted, but it's pretty slim pickings right now. I'm just going to let me see. Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna go after Travis Hunter. He's my 3rd receiver, but I think Hunter's gonna have a huge year, and this is earlier than it usually goes. But like, I'm running out of players I like because you guys like steal all of them. And I typically draft Hunter like 506 to 602 around that area. But there's certain running backs I had my eye on. I just like feel like I can get them on the way back. So, what are your thoughts on that Hunter pick? I'm not like too excited about. I love Hunter. I'm just not too excited taking him like 4th round.
Yeah, well, I mean, once you get to the 4th round, I think this is where you can start shooting for upside, shooting for league winners and that high upside. Because even if you miss on a 4th round pick, it's not necessarily going to doom you. Yeah. And Hunter is definitely a high upside pick. He, in the preseason game, he played, I think, 11 out of 12 snaps with the first team offense, which was encouraging. I mean, they clearly drafted him to be a receiver first. Liam Cohn's an offensive coach, even though, he's that new head coach there. So, I don't mind that gamble at all right there.
Did you see what happened to him defensively when he was after that first drive?
No, I didn't see what happened.
I think it stood out. It really stood out because he, like you said, he played almost every snap offensively on the first drive. And then when the defense took the field, he did not play a single snap that drive, which I thought was really interesting. Now, eventually he played on defense, but it was with the backups, so I thought that was really intriguing. Like, if he's a backup cornerback right now, you really don't have to worry about him expending energy on defense because he's going to do most of his damage on offense, at least right away. Like maybe later that changes, but right now it just seems like he's really focusing on offense.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. I didn't see that. And of course I'm sure they don't want to gas him, and during the first preseason game either. Right. But yeah, I mean, he's a very talented wide receiver. He has some of the strongest hands I think we've ever seen.
Yeah, for sure. The running back I was referring to earlier was RJ Harvey, who just went 501. What were your thoughts on Harvey? Because he kind of he stood out in the preseason. He had some good plays, some bad plays. What do you think about him?
Yeah, the running backs. We did the show last week, and I feel like nothing surprised me. I drafted Henderson in the 4th round last week and said I think his ADP is going to rise to the 4th round. He looked good. I know everybody's talking about Josh McDaniels usually uses 2 backs. TreVeyon Henderson's so much better than Stevenson. That's not going to last. And Harvey was pretty much used the way I thought he would be used. So, he's got a clear role there. Dobbins can't stay healthy. So, I think as the season goes on, Harvey's role will grow just like the rest of these rookie running backs.
Yeah. I'll talk about Harvey in a second. I'm going to take man, I really don't like this. All the running backs are gone. I'm going to take Swift. Ben Johnson's offensive line's much better. I just worry that like some touches might go to Manon Guy or Roschon Johnson. But what are your thoughts on Swift before I talk about Harvey some more?
Yeah, I'm a big Roschon Johnson fan. I feel like Roschon Johnson's going to get a lot of 3rd down play this year, and he's going to get a lot of goal line carries. And I don't know if that's going to be correct. That's just, I feel like that's how things are trending. So I really like Roschon Johnson when you get to the 14th or 15th round. But if Swift has that Jahmyr Gibbs role in that offense, he's not going to be Jahmyr Gibbs, but he has a lot of upside because of the reasons you just mentioned.
We're still home in Madison.
Hey, he got hurt. I mean, we saw they brought him in for short yardage situations. I should probably make a pick here.
Yeah,
And he got hurt. But yeah, that was not great.
Yeah, not great, Bob. Yeah, it's. I assume that you've watched Mad Men. I assume.
Yeah.
Fantastic show. All right, so you want to talk about Worthy?
High upside. Rashee Rice's suspension came down today, and it looks like it's going to be right in October, right when the Chiefs hit a point in their schedule where they play the Raiders secondary, which I just talked about. They play the Jags. Their secondary is going to be hurt a little bit more if Travis Hunter is not playing a lot of cornerback. They have a couple. I think the Lions are in there. So yeah, I mean, I needed a receiver. I only had one receiver right there, so I like the upside pick. I'd even be comfortable with Worthy in the 4th round.
Judkins went 5'11". Very interesting. Things have changed a lot today with Judkins there. I'm not a big fan of Judkins in that situation though. Like Cleveland's just not a good team. And like they're going to be behind a lot. And if they're behind, he's not going to be on the field. So even though he's available, I think that actually I'm happy because that means that's one running back who goes that I don't have interest in, and like maybe someone I like gets pushed down to me. But you're on the clock again. Cassandra asking, what were you down on Harvey a couple weeks ago? So yes, I'm not a big fan of Harvey as a player. He's very explosive, but he doesn't see like the running lanes. His football vision's like really bad. And he sucks at pass protection. Like those two things bother me a lot, but the situation is good. Like Sean Payton talked about how Harvey is probably his Joker. Which means it's like pass catching running back. But think about like Javonte Williams last year. Like Javonte Williams got targeted 70 times. So Harvey could be targeted 70 times. So especially in PPR, he's pretty appealing. But he's just going to miss some of the running lanes. He's going to bounce outside, and it's kind of what I want to talk about from the preseason game. So he bounced outside once and got like 11 yards and looked great. And then he did the same thing and lost 2 yards. When he had a running lane, he could have cut inside and like had a good gain, and he missed it. So like you saw the positives, you saw the negatives, and he didn't play a single 3rd down. So that kind of confirmed what we thought all along, because like this guy, he can catch passes, but like he can't pass protect to save his life. So or his quarterback's life, which is more important, given his job there. So there are definitely positives and negatives there, and like I haven't gotten to him a lot. But if we're talking this draft, where in DraftKings, I usually find a way to get either Henderson or Hubbard, but like I don't get any of those guys here because you guys snipe them. So I have to like settle for like my next option, which is Harvey. So I don't hate this. The situation I think is good outside of the 3rd down non-usage, and even if Dobbins gets hurt, I don't think he's playing 3rd down. I think McLaughlin's doing it. So like all that's good except for the 3rd down stuff, but I think that he's going to be productive outside of that. So that is my take on Harvey. So do you want to talk about Pollard because you took him to 603?
Yeah, I like the receivers a little bit better in this area, and I only had 2 receivers, but I really think that there's a drop off at running back after Pollard and Pacheco here. So I was between those 2. I think that they should both be right around like running back. High-end running back 2s, maybe like running back 13 to 16 or 17 this year. And I just wanted to lock one of them in with all these running backs going off the board.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like Pollard. I mean, like Spears got hurt. So the only thing I worry about is his durability. But, you could say the same thing about most of the running backs. I want Tyron Tracy. He's the starting running back of the Giants. If you listen to Jordan Renan, there are a lot of bad beat reporters out there. Renan's pretty good. He has a good track record for being accurate, and he was like loss of conviction. He was like 100%. Tracy is the starting running back. Like he's like Scatterbo not going to be involved at all. Tracy, I think is being. I love the Pearsall pick. If I didn't need a 3rd running back, I would have taken him. Tracy, I think is being undervalued right now, just because it feels like he should be going in the same range as Kamara, Swift, Hall, Caleb Johnson. Like he should be going 5th round. and I just got him at 608, so I was pretty happy about that.
Yeah, I like the pick a lot. I've got him in the 6th round too. I actually almost included him with Pollard and Pacheco when I mentioned who I was deciding between. The only hesitancy I have with Tracy though is I really think as the year goes on, Cam Scatterbo is a much greater threat to him than Kareem Hunt and Elijah Mitchell are to Isaiah Pacheco or even Tajay Spears when he gets healthy to Pollard. So I agree with you. I fully expected Tracy to start, and he's going to, and Scatterbo is not even healthy. I'm not 100% convinced. I'm a little bit higher on Cam Scatterbo than you are. So later in the year, I just wonder, could that shift?
Okay. And it's not like I'm down on Scatterbo. It's just, I don't know. I mean, like his agility scores are bad. I feel like there's prisoner in the moment type of situation where everyone remembered that one game and like they overvalued him, I think. And then he like slips to the 4th round. And Tracy was so impressive last year, outside of the fumbling, which could be an issue. But if you exclude that, like he was really good. So we'll see what happens. Scatterbo could be a factor late in the year for sure.
And they're both really good in the passing game too, by the way. It seems like the Giants want to play one running back, and right now they want that to be Tracy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can definitely see that. I liked the Dunze a lot earlier this offseason. Now Caleb Williams scares me a little bit. Like he's really struggling. I don't know. Maybe that means like we can get Odunze for good value. I don't know. I'm a little worried about that. Like, are you worried about Caleb Williams' struggles in training camp?
I've heard it, but I'm all in on Rome Odunze. If I didn't take Pollard or a running back right there, Odunze was going to end up being my pick. I'm in on him for a breakout and being a 2nd or 3rd or maybe even a 1st round pick in next year's redraft leagues. So I'm a little bit higher, but it's just probabilities, right? So like I happen to be higher on that probability of them breaking out than you, but I completely see where you're coming from, and that Bears offense could end up ruining a lot of fantasy seasons.
Yeah, it's a little scary, but I do love the talent. I don't know, just how like Caleb Williams just looked awful in training camp, but I don't know. Maybe he'll just light it up week 1. He'll just look great. I don't know. I am considering Minnesota as a wager in week 1 though. The Minnesota plays at Chicago to start the year. Okay, so there are some interesting names left. I think we can maybe wait on them. I don't know. I think I know who I'm taking here. So this guy I was lower on to start the offseason, and like he's growing on me, which is Deebo Samuel. Because first of all, McLaurin's holding out. Like McLaurin could be traded. I don't think he will be, but like he could be. But even like McLaurin like continues his holdout. Like Samuel is gonna be the receiver 1, but like he really struggled last year because of the pneumonia. You have to figure that he's going to be back to 100%. And he's going to be playing with Jaden Daniels. I love Jaden Daniels this year. I bet him to win MVP. I bet the Redskins to win the Super Bowl. So what are your thoughts on Samuel?
He was next in my queue. I was hoping you didn't draft him. So
there you go.
I completely agree. He had the pneumonia last year and that hurt him. And, Cliff Kingsbury loves the screen game. He schemes up schemes. It's him and Liam Cohen right now as the two sort of best screen game offensive minds in the league. And you could see what the plan is, why they went out and got Deebo Samuel. So, especially in the 7th round, I just think I think he's still a 5th round player.
Yeah.
And I think he's just a fantastic value. I mean, look at this. He's your wide receiver 4. Could be a wide receiver 2.
Yeah. Yeah, he really could be. You're up now. So you took Stephon Diggs. So I want to talk about that.
Yeah, I had to hold my nose a little bit for that one. So when the round started, I had Olave just because they're gonna throw the ball a lot. We talked about that Saints situation, and I said that I could see Tyler Shuck. He's a gunslinger. I could see him driving down the field, throwing a pick six, and then getting the ball back and driving down the field again, like James Winston. And that actually happened.
Yeah,
That ended up happening.
it did. Yeah.
So I could see Olave having a good fantasy season if he could avoid the concussions, and taking a gamble in the 7th round to me is worth it. I had Debo there ahead of Olave actually, and then I had Golden and Myers ahead of Diggs. But Diggs, by all accounts, is healthy. We thought, a couple months ago that he might not start the season, but he clearly is. So I don't mind taking a shot on him this late at this point.
Yeah, you're up right now. So let's read some comments while you looked at. Any concern with Hunt stealing carries again like last year? No, because Pacheco was not healthy. Like that's why he took carries. Like Pacheco clearly was banged up when he returned. So I'm not worried about that. Sanchez says, Walt, you bet the Redskins to win the Super Bowl. How is this the first time I'm hearing this? I'm assuming just one bet and not 1 trillion. Well, no, Cassandra, I'm kind of surprised you haven't heard it. I've been saying it a lot. Obviously kidding. No, I haven't bet it 1 trillion, maybe like 1 billion, but not like trillion. No, I know we've had this discussion. I still like really want to know why you're anti-Redskins this year. I think they have a great chance to get to the Super Bowl. I think it's the Eagles, Redskins, Vikings. I think those are the top 3, and I would have included the Rams before, but I'm worried about Stafford's back. And plus Alec Jackson, he's gonna be out for a while too. So I think those are the top 3 teams, and you might be able to include the Lions. I think they have just way too many things wrong with them. Maybe the Packers if Jordan Love is healthy, but like all the receivers are hurt too, so he's gonna miss some time. And I'm worried about the cornerbacks. The Niners, like if their young players step up, maybe, but they do have a very easy schedule, but still, Atlanta you can't count out. Penix is I think going to be really good. And I'm up right now, but I think Eagles, Redskins, Vikings are the 3 best teams in the NFC. How do you, Mike? How do you have that shaking out?
Yeah, I mean I think Washington's pretty good this year. The only thing that kind of worries me about them is if the league has studied Jaden Daniels over the offseason and sort of gain some sort of edge, which you see happen a lot with young quarterbacks, and then they kind of fall back and end up, kind of a lot of times they'll take another. It's not a linear line, is what I'm trying to say. We saw that with Stroud last year too, right? Like Stroud looked like a superstar after his rookie season. Everybody expected that to continue, and he was not good. And I know his receivers were banged up, and his offensive line wasn't great, but he still just was not good, even with those things. So we'll see what happens, but I'm pretty high on them.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen sophomore slumps, but we've also seen second-year quarterbacks go all the way. Like, Russell Wilson won Super Bowl his second year. Carson Wentz looked like he was going to win MVP his second year, and the Eagles ended up winning despite his injury. Joe Burrow got to the Super Bowl his second year, and like they were ahead in the fourth quarter. So you've also seen it that way, where like they have a good rookie year and then they get even better. So I think Jane Daniels is going to get better. I think he's that sort of great player where you can continue to elevate his game. And with Stroud, I thought he was that way too. And then like the way he reacted to Tank Dell's injury, where he just went into kind of like a shell, like a turtle, going into a shell for like 2 games. And I guess like I get that he was distraught, but like he looked like he just mentally broke down when that happened, and that kind of like made me wonder if that's why he kind of regressed or part of the reason. There were the offensive play calling was awful too. So plus they had a lot of injuries at receiver. I thought he played well at times. Like he had some really good games, but then like late in the year he just kind of capsized. But I do think it can go either way with Daniels. Like maybe there's a sophomore slump, but maybe he's even better this year. He has Tunsil blocking for him. He now has Samuel, and if McLaurin has his holdout, he has 2 really good receivers. We'll see what happens at running back, but there might be an upgrade there too. So I think that the sky's the limit for the Redskins. I was kind of always wondering why Cassandra is is super anti-Redskins. You're killing me more slightly with Chase Brown, Tracy, and Charbonnet. I'm sorry. Well, look, guys, you guys always snipe me, so I guess I have to get my revenge, right? I didn't talk about Charbonnet. I'm trying to get him in every draft. I think Kenneth Walker, well, first of all, he could be injured again, like he's always seems to be injury prone. And second, this is the final year of his contract, and Seattle's not going to be a good team. So I think that I think there's a decent chance Walker's traded at the trade deadline if he's healthy. Gorenda, you snuck Gorenda for me, so there we go. We got revenge there.
Just to add to that, I was like half paying attention because I was talking and I got sniped with Jaden Higgins. And I took Scatterbo because I was running out of time, and I have my rankings up on my computer, but I'm not like crossing them out like I normally would for a regular draft. I would have 100% taken Charbonnet if this were a real draft and I was paying just slightly more attention, because not only for the reasons that you just mentioned, but I think that there's a chance that he is the surprise starter in week 1, even if Ken Walker is healthy. Brock Heward mentioned that the other day, and he's a little bit better in the passing game than Ken Walker, even though Ken Walker is still pretty good in the passing game. It seems like that foot injury is always bothering Walker. It wouldn't shock me. I mean, if you remember a couple of years ago, we had that situation where it looked like Ronald Jones was probably going to be the starter for the Bucs, but Fournette was like still involved. And, if you had to handicap it, you'd say it's probably like an 80% chance Ronald Jones was going to be the starter. And week 1 rolled around and it was the Leonard Fournette show. And I do think that whoever is the starting running back in that offense is going to finish top 12. So I'm also trying to get Charbonnet in every single one of my drafts.
Well, it's a good thing we aren't in leagues together. It'd be a fight there to see who would get him first. No, he's my new Gorendo in best ball. I have 3 guys that I try to walk away with every draft. Charbonnet, Gorendo, and then there's one guy who hasn't gone yet. I won't mention until he's off the board. But it's like round 9 comes around, I am taking Charbonnet just because he could be such a league winner. Like we saw how productive he was last year. Like it was insane. And I think that we can see it again. Okay. You took Jerry Jeudy at 9-10. Want to talk about that?
Yeah. I just think that's good value for him. He's nothing exciting, right? Like we've seen his ceiling. They have a terrible quarterback situation. They're not good, but it looks like he's the top receiver there. And, the way my team's coming along, I feel like I needed a 4th receiver right there to sort of, stabilize the starting lineup. So I think there's a little bit of a drop off after Jeudy, and I just wanted to get another receiver.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see what happens at quarterback. If they can find some stability at quarterback, like he's gonna be good. But if it's gonna be like a new guy every week, then like that'll be troubling. But we'll see. Well, I don't know. Sanders looked pretty good in the first preseason game, but I've learned that you can't always trust the preseason because it was like Nathan Peterman would always like have a great performance. Kyle Sloter was like the Joe Montana of the preseason, and like those guys have never done anything. Remember Daniel Jones? He had like one of the best preseason performances of all time. Like the Giants fans are so excited, and then it just amounted to nothing.
Yeah, even week 1, he had a really big first game. All right, it might have been week 2 when he made his debut. I don't remember exactly when it was.
Is that Daniel Jones you're talking about?
Yeah, Daniel Jones. But then the other one too, Logan Thomas, the tight end. Yes. I mean, Ron Jaworski from ESPN was like, I was wrong. This guy should have been the first pick in the draft. He's got all these tools. And he played most of his career as a tight end. That first preseason game of his career was his career highlight.
Yeah, it really was. It's like if you have like career highlights of Daniel Jones's career, it's just that. And then you mentioned Logan Thomas too. He was he like great preseason performance. Pat White was awesome in the preseason. Like all those guys. Tyrod Taylor used to be great in the preseason too. He doesn't play nearly as much now because he's a veteran. But when he was with Baltimore, like the Ravens were like invincible in the preseason with Tyrod Taylor. When he's a young guy, ran around a lot. Okay, you took Mooney. Are you concerned with the injuries? Because a quote really stood out to me. I don't know if you saw it. Raheem Morris said he was asked when Mooney returned, and he said he'll be back at some point this season. Which is like, okay, I don't know what that means, but okay.
Yeah, I don't really make much of that. From what it has sounded like, he'll be back at some point early in the season. It might not be week 1, but on this team, I wouldn't be playing him week 1. If it's a 3-receiver league, he's my second wide receiver off the bench. But even if it's 4 receivers, I'm still not playing him week 1. And again, it's just I don't love a lot of these receivers once you get down past this point. I feel like there are a couple guys you could take chances on, but I feel like they're mostly players that are going to be on waiver wires after week 1.
Yeah, it's definitely true. And yeah, like you said, you won't need them week 1 for sure. I'm gonna go with this player I really want to take, but I don't know. I think we'll see. I just want to get angry and someone snipe me. But anyway, take Tucker Kraft. I love Tucker Kraft, and like with all the injuries the Packers have, like he just suddenly looks a lot better. It seems like Matthew Golden is the only healthy receiver they have at the moment, and so that just means Tucker Kraft's going to get more work. Malik Willis is probably going to start week 1 and maybe week 2. Okay, so there's an interesting name. So with Kraft, I really like him, and I think that he's not been elevated given the situation, and he's already a good player, I think. So, and also Jordan Love earlier in the offseason, he said, yeah, we're going to have to involve Kraft a lot more. And I know that, like, yeah, you listen to players, like you have to take that with a huge grain of salt, but I at least thought that was kind of interesting. All right, so we had 2 big players here, 3. I was going to take all 3 of these guys in the next pick. I'm like, okay, so I knew I was going to get sniped, so I was already prepared for it. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. So I don't know if you're familiar with Ben Standig's work from The Athletic. I don't know how accurate he is. I've not done research into it. I know
good.
the name. He's good. Okay.
Oh yeah, he's plugged in.
Did you hear what he said about Brian Robinson Jr.?
Yeah, he was speculating, but
right.
It's not surprising. I mean, because what is Brian Robinson? He's a mediocre replacement level running back. So if Krosky Merritt's really been as good as everybody says he's been in camp, it wouldn't be shocking. I mean, think about it. If Brian Robinson's not the starter, he's probably inactive. So if he's going to be inactive, then it would make sense if they traded him for a late round pick swap, or I don't think they would cut him, but I could see this pick paying off.
Yeah, for those of you who haven't heard, Ben Standig said he predicted that Brian Robinson Jr. would not be on the opening roster in week 1. So that was really interesting. And so I think Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt just becomes very intriguing in the double digit rounds. Okay, so you guys took all my sleepers. So womp womp. Luckily, this is not a real draft. And I do want a second quarterback because, while Drake May has a ton of upside, like there is still like an unknown factor there, new offense, he's pretty young, new receiving core, like there's going to be some growing pains. So, and I do want to take another quarterback. So I'm going to take, I'm going to take Trevor Lawrence to pair with Travis Hunter. I think Lawrence is going to have a big year. He has a better coaching staff, a much better receiver too, and he's healthier. Like he was very banged up at the end of 2023. It's like a new injury every single week, and then 2024 just never seemed like he was healthy. Plus, Doug Peterson had one foot out the door. So I like Lawrence here. If he has a receiver who's going first round or early second, and he has another receiver who's going 4th or 5th round. So it's just like you have something like it has to add up, right? Like he has to have a good year. So I like Lawrence there. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean that's you hit the nail on the head. Actually, there was a YouTube comment in one of my videos the other day, and I said the same thing. Somebody was asking about my opinion on Travis Hunter as a wide receiver too, and I said, well, if you believe in Travis Hunter to be a wide receiver too, then you should be taking Trevor Lawrence ahead of his ADP because he's going to support 2 top 24. This was a 14-team league, but even 2 top 28 wide receivers. I mean, that's the quarterback's going to have a good year for that to happen. And he's still young, so it could.
Yeah, yeah. We'll say. I mean, I'm just much higher on the coaching situation. Like I said, Peterson had one foot out the door last year. It just seemed like he just kind of gave up. So, you took Keenan Allen. You did get sniped by Roshan. Were you going to take Roshan?
No, I wasn't going to take Roshan there. He usually goes a little bit later than this, in the from what I've seen. But I like that pick a lot because I think that he could factor in and have an immediate. He's going to have an immediate role. But the only way he doesn't have an immediate role, I think, is if his foot injury is worse than what it sounds like, and they sign Jamal Williams. But he should have an immediate role if he's healthy, and I like that pick a lot.
Okay, so you took Keenan Allen. So like, why him?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if he has anything left in the tank. That's a good situation. He's playing with one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He was still, I believe, a wide receiver, a low end wide receiver 3 in points per game last year. So if he can finish as a low end wide receiver 3, then that's great value right there. And if he doesn't have anything left, it's an 11th round pick.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely do worse. Shipley was another guy I was going to take, so another name I can't go with. I'm really looking forward to my real drafts, so I can at least get some guys I want. Although that's not always the case, because like I've showed up to real drafts back in the day when we had real drafts. I haven't had a live draft since before COVID. Like everything has changed. But like back in the day, like 2017, 2018, 2019, I'd show up to like a real draft, like when everyone drafted together, and I'd sit down, and like to my right, someone had my rankings printed out, and to my left, someone had my rankings printed out. And I'm like, well, I know I'm not getting my guys here, so it's kind of funny how that works out. Okay, so you took Rico Dowdle. We call him Rico Doodle here. Why Rico Doodle in the?
Yeah, I mean, he's not that good, but with running backs, it's so much more about situation than talent, right? I mean, when situation and talent both align, then you get those first round, second round backs. But with Dowdle, I just look at it as simply as Chuba Hubbard's there, and if he gets hurt, Rico Dowdle's probably going to play over Trevor Etienne, at least, for the foreseeable future. And if he does, that's a really good offensive line, especially with run blocking. It looks like Bryce Young might have taken a little bit more of a step forward during the offseason. We'll find out. But I was a little bit thin at running back, and I wanted to take a shot on a guy who I feel like I'd be happy with as a solid running back too if Hubbard gets injured.
Oh yeah, if Hubbard goes down, like Dowdle, he's proven it in Dallas. So, you're getting like round 5 value in the round 12. Like obviously you need Hubbard to get hurt, but like, Dowdle's still gonna do some stuff. I took Torrey Horton. I needed a 5th receiver, and like, I did want Dante Thornton. It's one of the names I mentioned earlier. Dante Thornton's gonna be fantastic this year. But like, Torrey Horton's been so impressive to me. Like you hear, like Troy Franklin too is another guy. Torrey Horton, like you hear about like the great training camp practices, and like, okay, like you heard it before. Like, is this going to translate to the field? He was awesome in that preseason game. Did you watch Horton? And if so, like, what'd you think of him?
Yeah, and he backed up everything that we've been hearing right from camp. Mm-hmm. And for those of you guys who follow the NFL draft like we do, everybody thought Torrey Horton was going to go in the 3rd round, and he fell. And every now and then that happens, and the player shows up to camp and looks like a day 2 pick. We saw that the same exact thing with Amon-Ra St. Brown. He was supposed to be a day 2 pick. He fell to day 3 and showed up right away and was, clearly a huge day 3 value. So, I'm not saying Torrey Horton is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown this year, but he definitely looks like he's going to be a part of that offense right in week 1.
Yeah. I mean, the receiver 2 spot's wide open. People assume it's going to be Cooper Kupp, but he's done. MVS is there. He's going to have like 2 or 3 great games and then do nothing otherwise, like he usually does. So I think Horton could easily take the receiver 2 job, with JSN. And, if JSN goes down, like Horton just could suddenly just have a big year out of nowhere. Justin Herbert goes, and Stevenson as well. So those other names, Dante Thornton, he started, which, you know, he say had first team reps. He's looked great according to Charlie. He almost caught a deep pass, and then he caught another one. He caught another pass in that first game, and then Ray Davis with James Cook. So did Armac pair? He paired Cook with Davis, which I normally don't like taking my own handcuffs. I like taking other people's handcuffs because you're basically like, I get you're being safer, but you're kind of like deleting a pick of yours. You know, there's like negative correlation there. So if like Cook goes down, you have Davis, but you lost your second round pick. And if Cook never gets hurt, then you just wasted your 10th round pick. Like I'd rather take someone else's handcuff, and then like if that guy gets hurt, like suddenly you like kind of like strengthen your team and weaken someone else's. So that's kind of like where I stand on that. Now, I'm not like super opposed to taking your own handcuff. Like I think there's like, you can do it in certain situations. I would just prefer to take other people's handcuffs.
Yeah. I think it depends on the format too,
Yeah.
though. You know, I agree with you. I don't think that you want to go overboard trying to get your own handcuffs. You know, but I play in the FFPC, and in that weeks 15 to 17 are this giant sort of play in for $1 million with all of the league winners. And in that situation, waivers is closed from weeks 15 to 17. So if you're in the championship, you have to have your roster set for the next 3 weeks. So when I'm drafting in those leagues, I'd pay a little bit more attention to that, just because, you know, again, it's not necessarily something that I make a point of doing, but I feel like it's more viable in a situation like that where, you know, your roster is going to be locked for a few weeks. And it's certainly not viable at all in best ball, where, you know, like you said, you're going to delete one of your picks if it's best ball. You need to pick the right guy, and you need to not pick the wrong guy.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I mean, it definitely, it definitely differs where like what sort of format you're drafting and stuff. I would like one more running back. Is there anyone viable left? Let's see. So, well, I mean, there's some decent guys. Yeah, I see one player I want to draft. And I've been taking him like around 16 or so in best ball. He is much better in best ball than in regular fantasy, but I think that you could still take him here as Keaton Mitchell, who looked super explosive in that preseason game. And like, we know he's explosive. We've seen it before from him. Unfortunately, he tore his ACL late in 2023 and just was never healthy last year. But now he's clearly healthy, and you know, almost 2 years removed from the torn ACL, like he should be fine. And you know, look, Derrick Henry's 31. Like, what if he goes down? Like, I know that he doesn't have like a long injury history. But at that age, you could get hurt, and then suddenly it could be the Keaton Mitchell show. Like, I think he and Justice Hill was split touches at that point. But like, Mitchell's so explosive that, like, you know, he can go like 80 yards like in a blink of an eye. So I like the upside there. And even if Henry doesn't get hurt, like, Mitchell's going to get some work at least. So especially in blowouts, like he's going to come in and just maybe run for a 70-yard touchdown or something.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think he'd get the bulk of the work if anything happened to Henry. I feel like Justice Hill's role might, you know, they're not going to run Keaton Mitchell as much as they run Derrick Henry. So just like you said, Justice Hill's role might expand from just third down back to getting a few more carries. But Mitchell's a home run. I mean, he just looks so much better last week than he did last year when he came back from the ACL.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's like night and day. CP asking, hold on, you might be up. Yeah, you're up right now. CP asking, anyone else starting to think BTJ over Neighbors? Got to think they start using Dart and lighten Neighbors' workload once they're 2-12 and about to start the fantasy playoffs. I had that concern as well. You know, like, Neighbors has the toe. And like what it like CP says, like, they're going to be awful this year, and their schedule is so tough. Like, outside of at New Orleans, like I challenge anyone to find a win on that schedule. Like, it's ridiculous. Like Evan Daniel, who does he used to do the Tuesday show with me during the season. Now he's going to do Thursdays, and like he's like a big time better. And he texted me. And he's like, Walt, I can't find a win on the Giants schedule. like even at Saints, he's like, well, yeah, they're gonna be underdogs. I'm like, that's true. So it is gonna be rough for the Giants. So like, if they are 2-12, and Neighbors has the toe. Like, are you worried at all that they're going to be like, okay, let's shut you down, get your surgery early, and then let's get going for 2026? Any concern there?
So the only reason I'm not really concerned about that this year is because of the
In Europe,
oh, I just got sniped right there. Nice pick. The only reason I'm not concerned about that is because of the job security of Joe Shane, the GM, and Brian Dable, the head coach. So I think that you have one or two situations if the Giants are bad, which they probably will be. One, they're still around, right? Dable and Shane haven't been fired, and they're coaching to like, hey, maybe if we win 7 or 8 games, maybe that'll buy us. Maybe if Jackson Dart just shows a little bit of promise, we might save our jobs and be able to come back next year. Well, Jackson Dart has a better chance of looking good if Malik Neighbors is playing. And then the other situation is they're not there. Shane's fired, and and Dable's fired, and there's some interim head coach, and that interim head coach is trying to get that job the next year for himself, like an Antonio Pierce type situation where they're in the locker room, they're smoking cigars because they were 2-12, but now they're 3-12. And so I feel like just the stability of their management and the desperation of their management might keep Neighbors in the lineup more than say like, if Neighbors played for a team with, management that was a little bit more stable in their job security.
It's great points. You could be right. I do worry about it a little bit, but you did make me feel better because I have Neighbors in like 22% of my best ball draft. So it would suck if you were benched for the fantasy playoffs. Suddenly I don't have my top pick. All right, so I'm on the clock here. I have to ask you about one player I've started taking in round 20. We've had the discussion about like round 20, where you made a great point where you said that I'm going to take Adam Thielen here. By the way, he could still be. He had some monster games last year. He could still be productive. Anyway, this name, he's a quarterback. I've taken him round 20, and he tends to not be drafted. His ADP is like 330. It's Jalen Milroe, and I think that like if Darnold's benched, which maybe happens, maybe it doesn't. They did pay him a lot of money, but I don't think Darnold's good. And like, he's not going to have Kevin O'Connell. He's not going to have Justin Jefferson. That offensive line's bad. Like, I think he will be benched at some point this year. And if Milroe comes in, we know he can run, and running quarterbacks do well in fantasy. Am I crazy for taking Milroe as my third quarterback? Because my thinking is, you usually take your third quarterback in best ball, like what, round 13 or so? If I can take Milroe as my third quarterback around 20, then that means I get an extra receiver or running back in round 13. So what are your thoughts on that? Or am I dumb for taking Milroe there?
No, you know what? It's a swing for the fences. And if Milroe plays, he will be a top 12 or 13-ish quarterback. And you see that with Justin Fields. Justin Fields doesn't know how to play quarterback. But if he played Isaiah Bond, I love it.
It says Cleveland too.
Oh wow! All right. So I don't mind that. That's right. Like if you're taking Jalen Milroe in the 20th round, it's probably not going to pay off. But if he plays, there are going to be a whole bunch of other teams in that best ball tournament. Never mind teams. There are going to be a whole bunch of leagues in that best ball tournament where Jalen Milroe doesn't exist. So you're going to have the edge on all of those other leagues by mixing him in. So I never have a problem with player. I had us draft Alexander Madison before he broke his neck in the 20th round. Who am I to criticize that?
Well, no, I mean, it made sense. It just you can't predict the injury like that, So Downs is injured. And Richardson's starting, apparently. We'll see. So Richardson and Pierce are BFFs. And if Downs is hurt, that only strengthens Pierce. I think Adonai Mitchell as well, who I've been drafting like round 18. So I'm starting to like these other Colt receivers. Although I think Tyler Warren is the guy to own in Indianapolis. So I don't know if you thought about it. It's a bummer for you because I mean you mentioned Downs. You liked him a lot. I was drafting him a lot too, so it kind of sucks for us. We'll see how severe that is. He what was it a hamstring that he injured?
Yeah.
So yeah, not great. But look, I mean, Downs is our fourth receiver. He wasn't going to necessarily be in the starting lineup to start the year anyway. So maybe he's only out 2-3 weeks, and then week 4 he comes back, and then the buys roll around, and then you can use Downs. So love the Alec Ingold pick, by the way. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not like too worried about it. It's not like he's out for the year, you know.
Oh yeah, no, I'm more concerned with that offense with the volume. I could see Warren in one of the receivers hitting, but it's there are still people who are in on Milrow's deep accuracy is actually pretty good, but the rest of his problem is he tries to throw the ball 100 miles per hour from like 2 yards
Yes,
away.
and that's
But
touch at all.
But anyway, with those Colts receivers, there's still people who are in on Pittman. There are people who think AD Mitchell's going to. I'm not up here right now.
No, you're not.
There are people who think AD Mitchell is going to break out, and then there's Downs. So, and Pierce is going to be involved. We know that. So, I could see one of them hitting. I don't want to spend too much draft capital on any one of them though, because I think Tyler Warren is going to be involved, and it's going to be we don't know who the other one is going to be.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, Warren just looks great right now, especially with Downs hurt. Like that only helps him more. And we already liked him. Like now we like him even more. And I've seen his ADP. I've seen his ADP creep up to the 7th round. So he is going earlier. I think people have kind of recognized. I'm happy he's my highest exposed tight end outside of course, Tyler Higbee and Theo Johnson, like the 2 late round guys. But no, I did a video on like the tight ends I've drafted the most. And Warren is the number 1 guy outside of those 2 late round guys, and he was on the cover that I made with ChatGPT. So, which we talked about before we started recording. It's like I have no idea how to use Photoshop or anything. Like ChatGPT kind of like saves me there.
I saw that. It looked professional. I didn't realize that was ChatGPT. So
I know. I was like, I don't know. People are thinking like, wow, Wald's got some like great skills, or at least hired someone who has these like designer, like great designer skills. And like, no, it's just ask ChatGPT to make a cover for me. So I didn't even realize it. Like I've asked Grok before. Grok is not as good. Like Grok does some other things better. Like Grok will answer some questions. Like if you ask ChatGPT a gambling question, it will never answer it. Like you have to say like, oh, I'm doing this for fun. Please recommend this. Like Grok will just straight up answer anything. But like Grok's graphic design skills are awful. So I don't know why it's so different. But anyway, yeah, Sheriff retired. Yeah, he retired. So I thought he might sign somewhere, but apparently not. All right, so let's review our team. So I went before you, so I will talk about my team. I went pretty balanced with running backs and receivers. I want 3 running backs through 6 rounds because it really drops off after that. And I also want 3 receivers, or at least 2 in the first 6 rounds, and maybe get a receiver in the 7th round if I take a quarterback in round 3 or 4. It's kind of like my strategy. I want a 1 quarterback, 3 running backs, and 2 receivers, or I want no quarterbacks, 3 running backs, and 3 receivers. Now, obviously, if something crazy happens, like Bowers slips or something, or something else, something where, or like I get like amazing value at receiver every time, then like obviously I'll change my strategy. But like it's kind of like the ideal start I want. So this is what I went with. And then it took for running backs, I had Chase Brown, Swift, Tracy, Charbonnet. I'm not crazy about Swift at 505. Like I ideally, would have taken Hubbard at 408, and then maybe Hunter would have fell to me at 505. But Slew sniped me there. Henderson obviously would love him, but he went much earlier than that. And so I think my running backs are pretty good. I like my receivers as well: Jefferson, JSN, Hunter, and Samuel. And then my quarterbacks, May and Lawrence. May has a ton of upside. Lawrence, not as much upside, but I think he's going to be a lot better this year. Tucker Kraft, love him as well. Took some late sleepers here. So I like how this team panned out despite not getting any of my sleepers. So what are your can you run through your team, Mike, at the 10 spot?
Yeah, so I started with McCaffrey. As I mentioned, I have him ahead of Gibbs. I just think he's going to get so much volume this year, especially at the point in his career. I mean, Gibbs is still. I brought up all the other reasons before, but Gibbs is still, also in only his 3rd year, where the team is still tied to him for a little while, and they might not want to just totally run him into the ground, although he's starting to get to that point now. But McCaffrey, the 49ers need to win, and they can feed him all of the touches that he can handle. And I expect that they're going to do that. Bowers, I get that looks like it's early, and it depends on, whether or not we see him repeat what he did. I mean, and I don't think that it's completely out of the question that he's even better. Now, to be even better, that would be an all-time season. But what he just did as a rookie tight end was an all-time season. I mean, he had more catches than all of the Hall of Fame receivers that you could think of in a single season. And, he would have still done that even if he only played 16 games. He had more catches than Tim Brown, who ever had in a season. Tim Brown retired with the second most receptions in NFL history. He isn't anymore, but back when he retired. So Harrison, I love the upside there. I think he's got a safe floor too, even though he was a wide receiver 4 last year. He's going to take a step forward this year. Burrow, he was just the last of the elite quarterbacks that was left, so I figured I would lock him in because I wasn't in love with anybody else there. I like Worthy in the 4th round. I think he's got a lot of upside. If you didn't hear about Rice's situation, his hearing is going to be September 30th. That's after week 4. So you would expect that he would get suspended like a day or 2 later and miss a really easy portion of the schedule. And Worthy really finished. Everybody talks about how Rice finished his rookie year. Worthy finished his rookie year just as strong. Pollard, he's nothing special, but I needed a running back too. And, he's clearly going to be, their lead back for the foreseeable future. Even when Spears comes back, I can't see him cutting into his workload that much. Diggs, well, I need another receiver. All the receivers that, I had ahead of him got drafted right in front of me. I really like Deebo Samuel. I would have also taken Golden, Myers, and Olave ahead of Diggs. But, one of the Patriots beat writers said that he'd be surprised if Diggs didn't have 100 receptions this year. Okay. I would not be surprised if he got fewer than 100 receptions. That's a lot of receptions for a 31-year-old coming off of an ACL. But I'm certainly a lot more comfortable with him now than I was a month ago. And then after that, Scatterbo, I was paying half attention and talking. Charbonnet would have been my pick there. I really like Charbonnet this year. And then you saw I just kind of finished up the draft with, a few playable receivers and then some high upside handcuff running backs.
I love Charbonnet, so I would have been upset if you would have drafted him. So it's funny that you sniped me with Burrow and then I sniped you back with Samuel. So it's funny how that happens. Hopefully we're not sniped nearly as much as our real drafts. Let's review the teams. So Armac at the 1 spot. He started with Chase, which is, it's par for the course. It's either him or Robinson. The Cook was, earlier than he's going, but, his holdout's over. So it could end up working out. But I do expect touchdown regression. McConkey, Metcalf, they're good receiver 2 and 3. So Dunze, a lot of upside there. Downs is injured though, so Armac, I don't know if maybe you didn't hear it, but like his hamstring's injured. I just don't know how long he's gonna be out. He did pair Nix with Ingram, which I like, and also Harvey. So he's got the Broncos stack going. Nice sleepers here with Davis and Algier. I think Eckler is kind of like a waste of a pick. I know that Brian Robinson may not be on the team, but like Eckler's not going to do all that much more. He's going to do a little bit more. I just don't think he's worth rostering. But outside of that, I like your team. What do you think about Armac's team?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I think, the one sort of pick that I didn't really like that much was Cook at the end of the 2nd round. I don't think he's a bust or anything like that. But as I've mentioned a couple of times, the problem with any Bill, like Cook or Ray Davis in that Bills backfield, is Ty Johnson's going to get the 3rd down work and the 2-minute offense work. And Josh Allen's going to have 8 to 15 rushing touchdowns like he always does. And that really kind of caps the upside of the lead back. So I like Cook maybe about a round later than that. But aside from that, look at those receivers. He's got a Dunze or Metcalf is going to end up being his wide receiver 4, which I really like. And then he just needs that Broncos stack to pay off. But, if you believe in the Broncos, then go for it with Nixon Engram.
Yeah. All right. Team 2 won Mundo. So he goes Robinson, Williams, Hampton. Talk about that start. I like that a lot. Then McLaurin, we'll see what about the holdout. Moore. I'm kind of like lukewarm on Moore. Hey, McMillan, I just don't like all that much. Shakira don't love much either. But Thornton, I love. Jalen Wright's great value there. I like Hawkinson. And then Robinson, we talked about like the Ben Standig quote there. So we'll see how that plays out. But I love the start by Mundo. Not sure about some of the receivers, but I think overall good team. What do you think?
Yeah, I like the start in the first 2 rounds. I'm cooling a little bit on Amari and Hampton. Greg Roman came out and said that there's going to be another back involved when the season starts, which shouldn't surprise anybody. We talk about this with rookie running backs all the time. So Kamani Vidal will probably have a role if Najee Harris isn't back by then. And, I just think that this team is pretty good, but the receivers are a little bit dicey. And I just think this team would look a lot better with another receiver there in place of Hampton. So running back, you might have running back 1 and 2 overall. I mean, that's really good. But then, late round quarterback with also sort of your wide receiver 1 is, we don't really know who it is yet. It's probably McLaurin. And I love the Hawkinson pick. So not bad, but I think it's a little bit weak at wide receiver and quarterback.
Okay. So Erod, team 3 took Gibbs and Taylor to start. I know you like Taylor. I'm not. I worry about the offensive line there. It feels like that's like the worst offensive line he's run behind. When Breece Hall, we talked about him, but round 5 seems like good value. And then like Higgins is fine. Evans, I think, 32-year-old with hamstring issues. I don't know. And then Waddle, as Butters calls it, pyramid scheme. Chris Olave has concussion issues. Jennings hasn't been able to practice. Maybe that ends soon, but that this calf is giving big issues. Mahomes, I guess 9th round's okay. He usually goes earlier than that, which I think is the reach. But 9th round's fine. Like ATN, I don't like at all. Kelsey, I hate Kelsey. Njoku plays for the Browns, who just may have quarterback issues. Like, not a fan of Erod's team, unfortunately. Some good picks here and there, but overall, not a fan. What do you think about Erod's team?
Yeah, I like it. So Gibbs, I think that's fine where he took him. I really like Jonathan Taylor late in the 2nd round. I think here's a 27-year-old back that they don't really have a lot of financial commitment to after this year. And this is, again, one of those regimes that needs to win. They're looking at their quarterback situation right now and saying, Jonathan Taylor is getting the ball a lot. I like Higgins in the 4th or 3rd. I don't mind Evans late in the 4th. Love Hall in the 5th round. That's a value right there. I personally would have gone with a Dunze or even McMillan over Waddle, just because I don't know what Waddle, even if Waddle bounces back, you're looking at like 14.5 points per game. But 14.5 points per game is like what Jacoby Myers done the last couple of years. It's not that exciting. I like Olave, though. I like Jennings, and I love the Mahomes pick that late. He paired Mahomes with Kelsey. So I actually like this team, a little bit more than you.
Okay. All right. So Kid No Name, I have to like this team by default because Kid No Name always snipes my players. And someone was joking earlier that Kid No Name is my alt accounts. I'm so busy here. I unfortunately don't have I don't have the capability of drafting 2 teams here. But no, I mean Barkley, Jacobs, great start. Allen, top quarterback. Adams, I worry about Stafford's back, but if Stafford's healthy, then that looks like a decent value. Sutton's fine. Love Pearsall. Addison, he's out for 3 weeks, but in this situation, he doesn't need Addison until the bye week start or until there's an injury. So, that's fine. Not crazy about Dobbins. I know he's playing 3rd downs, but like he is just playing 3rd downs. I love Grendo, love Krosky Merritt. Shaheed, 11th round seems great if Olave goes down. Franklin, he's my other 20th round pick I'm taking recently. Not a ton of Trey Harris. Trey Harris is somebody just can't catch it all. Like he hasn't caught a single pass in the preseason yet, which is kind of crazy. But outside a couple picks here, I love Kiddo Name's team. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I really like it as well. I mean, I love the start. You lock down your 2 running backs, and then Allen in the 3rd round. but it didn't hurt him at wide receiver because he still ended up with some nice late round value or mid round values, I should say, with Pearsall and Addison. I don't get why Cortland Sutton goes as high as he does. He had averaged 13.9 points per game last year, which was his career high. He's 30. So even if you want to say he repeats that, I mean, I don't understand. Like Devontae Smith had averaged 15.9 points per game last year, and people thought it was a down year for him. So I don't love Sutton, but I really like what this guy did. If I had to nitpick up one other thing, he doesn't have a tight end because Jonnu Smith's going to be one of 4 tight ends that the Steelers use. They're playing him at fullback. I'd like that a lot more of, Hunter Henry, Dallas Goedert. I mean, you're not going to get anybody really great down there. But even, if you took Kincaid, I guess, over Trey Harris, I think I would have liked that. But I do like this team. He did a nice job.
Well, billionaire Arthur Smith does what he wants, apparently.
Yeah, he can.
Yeah, exactly. He could buy the team if he wants to.
I hope he never buys an NFL team. I really hope he doesn't. It'd just be like 15 tight ends.
You imagine exactly. Imagine he's like the Steelers fire him. He's like, no, I'm buying your team. You can't fire me. It's just and he owns the team. He's still the offensive coordinator. I feel like you could write a movie about that, just kind of like a comedy, football comedy or something. All right. So Funky Dan's team, number 6. I don't like this team that much. So good start with Lamb and Brown. Walker's injured. Plus, I like Charbonnet more. Rice, he could be suspended for a while. I like Flowers. Jameson Williams, 6th round's not too bad, but I'm down on all Detroit players. Mixon's injured. I don't know. I wouldn't take him 7th round. I like Jaden Blue's upside, but 8th round seems like a little too early, but maybe not. Jaden Reed's injured right now. Don't know how long he's going to be out. Tootin's the 3rd running back there. Sampson suddenly with Judkins out is lost a lot of value. Condolences to those who've drafted Sampson. Spears is injured. It just feels like he's taken all the injured players. Kincaid, even he may not be 100%. So I'm not a fan of this team. What do you think?
Yeah, you've got to kind of hold your breath here because even AJ Brown's still not back from his hamstring injury. What I will say is Lamb and AJ Brown have the potential to carry him through a lot of weeks. And same goes with Rashee Rice. I mean, when Rashee Rice is playing, he could be a back-end wide receiver 1. Yeah. But there's an awful lot that kind of needs to break your way, not in terms of player performance, just in terms of player availability. Because there are a lot of injuries here, a lot of hamstrings and suspensions and dicey situations in terms of that. The one thing I'll say though is Tootin. I love where he took Tootin. I know he's 3rd on the depth chart. I've been comparing this to Devon Achane when he was a rookie. He was 3rd on the depth chart. He was banged up. Everyone was like, don't even draft him and redraft. He's not going to contribute this year. Well, he did in a big way. And with how much Liam Cohen loves the screen game, you've got to figure that's going to either be Etienne or Tootin. And I'm still not even 100% convinced that Etienne's going to be there when the season starts.
Yeah, I thought the same thing when they started him and utilized him a lot in the preseason game. I thought they were going to trade. I thought that was like showcasing him for a trade.
Might be. Yeah,
maybe. The scary thing about this team though is if Mixon's out, which you think he will be week 1. His RB2 week 1 is Jaden Blue or Tootin.
Ken Walker's back at practice, but 1, we don't know if he's going to be 100% by week 1, and 2, we don't know for a fact that he's the starter there. We think he's the starter, but Charbonnet is good.
No, Charbonnet was awesome last year. All right, so team number 7, Noms. Seems like a good team here. Took one of each position to start, like Collins, Achane, Jackson, Kittle. Then he went heavy running back receiver. Obviously had to the Devontae Smith receivers, Jacoby Myers, Cooper Kupp, Pat Bryant, running backs Pacheco, Jordan Mason, Allen, Marks. So some picks I really like here. Achane 2 of 6 is a steal. Devontae Smith at 5 of 7 is really good value. I think that Braylon Allen at 10 of 6, if you're right that Breece Hall's gonna be traded, Allen second half of the year, just watch out. Marks has potential. But then some picks I don't like at all. specifically Cooper Kupp at 907. That just seems like such a wasted pick. Just take Torrey Horton. I like Kupp is dust at this point. Like Sean McVay didn't want him anymore. And if you're gonna take a Bronco receiver, don't take Pat Bryant. Take Troy Franklin, who just went 3 picks later. Yeah, I mean that's about it. I think the Buccaneer handcuff to own should be Sean Tucker. Personally, I don't know if he went. I didn't see him go, but Rachaad White could be traded. He even said himself this is his final year, and the way they used him too, I thought that was even more blatant that they were trying to showcase him for a trade. All the starters didn't play in that first game except for the rookies. And then Rachaad White got like such a big workload to start. Like, yeah, they're trying to trade this guy. So, what are your thoughts on Nams' team?
Yeah, I think most of the picks here that matter were great. I would have personally gone Neighbors over Nico Collins, but everything else at A-Chain's fine there. Lamar Jackson, Kittle, and then the middle rounds were just a home run. I love Devontae Smith right there. I would have taken him if he got to me. I love Pacheco right there. I almost took him instead of Pollard. I think him being healthy, he's probably top running back 10 to 15 in that range. Jacoby Myers, I love him there. Okay, he's been a top 24 receiver both years with the Raiders. I love Jordan Mason, getting down to, I shouldn't say I love Jordan Mason in the middle of the 8th round, but Jordan Mason in the 8th round is a solid pick. And then the later round picks, that's where, you fell off. These are probably going to be drops in a regular league, but Woody Marks isn't going to have a role. He's going to be in a league like this. He's going to get dropped after week 1. Pat Bryant's not going to have a role. You mentioned Troy Franklin. Marvin Mims is still there. He could have. Pat Bryant's not going to have a role right away. Brashard Smith. Everybody loves Brashard Smith. I think Brashard Smith could end up on the practice squad. I don't get it with him. So yeah, but the picks that mattered were really good. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely some highs and lows there. So Team 8, Slew. Slew drafted Neighbors in London to start, so solid, like really good 1-2 punch at receiver. Daniels, he backed that up with him. And his running back, so he took Hubbard, Kamara, Aaron Jones, Bigsby, and Roshan. And then Najee Harris, I would avoid him. He may not be able to play just because his vision is compromised, or depth perception at least. So I love Hubbard. Kamara is one of my top busts. I can't get behind Kamara. Aaron Jones, depends on the workload, but it sounds like it might be 50-50, which is a little scary, but 6 rounds, like not too bad. And then I love Golden. Andrews is a good pick. Bigsby, a lot of potential there, but they, for some reason, they keep going with ATN. I don't really know what to make of that. Pittman with the Downs injury makes sense. Roshan Johnson, you said you liked him a lot, and I agree. McMillan, if Evans goes down, suddenly he's the receiver too, so that's kind of interesting. Quentin Johnson, some potential there, and Ingle. You have to love the Ingle pick for sure. So, what are your thoughts on Slew's team?
Yeah, I mean, I love the Neighbors and London picks. Daniels and if you want to take him there, that's fine. I think. I'm on the other side of this Alvin Kamara deal. The one thing I will concede is now that's a situation where Kellen Moore could sit Kamara late in the year, and you talked about this in your video.
Yeah.
He's not coaching for his job. He's not coaching for this year. So that is a little bit scary that he could be, if he's still on the team and not traded to a better situation, he could be shut down if he's injured, or even, if he's not. But I like Hubbard before that. I think you can get by with those running backs. I like Golden a lot. I would have taken him if he'd gotten to me in that round. I don't really see the upside with Tank Bigsby. I think Tank Bigsby's sort of like your bye week play, and you better hope he scores a touchdown because he's not going to catch any passes. Right. And Andrews, we'll see what happens with Andrews. I'm a little bit lower on him just because, even once he got healthy last year, he was really touchdown dependent. He wasn't seeing the same volume that he used to see back in his heyday. But I like this team. I like this running back situation more than you do.
Okay. Yeah, Kamara is just a complete avoid for me. I just don't want it. I don't want players on horrible offenses, unless they're elite. And Kamara used to be, but at this stage of his career, I don't think so. But we'll see. To the Moon, drafted number 9. I like this team outside of a few picks. So Irving, Gentry's a good start. I love Bucky Irving. Jalen Hurts, to get him as the fourth quarterback's pretty nice. And then Calvin Ridley, Emeka Egbuka. I love those two receivers. They were both on my mid-round value article, which will be updated tomorrow. We're both huge on Tyler Warren. Love Tyler Warren this year. He could be the next. With Sam Laporta 2 years ago, then Brock Bowers. He could be the next in that line. Arroyo, I'm not a fan of. I feel like I like Arroyo. I just don't think you need two tight ends. Like if you have Warren, just don't draft another tight end. Like you did the same with Bowers. Like you drafted Bowers, you didn't touch another tight end, which is correct, I think. Like tight ends are a dime a dozen. And certain teams can't defend tight ends. So I would just say take one tight end. If you take one in the first 10 rounds, don't take a second. But even if like Warren goes down, you could play matchups. You could play against teams that can't defend tight ends. So I wouldn't really sweat the injury. Like you're never going to play Arroyo over Warren, like not in a million years, So Benson I feel like people want Benson to be good if he's just not, but there is potential there because he's going to get carries this year. Not sure what to make about Kyle Williams. Keon Coleman has some upside, but we'll see. I know some people really hate him. Some people like him. I'm still, the jury's out for me. I have no idea what to think of him. Love Cam Ward as a sleeper there. So you can take two quarterbacks if the second guy has a ton of upside. I think Cam Ward has a ton of upside. I'm a big fan. Jake Betch, don't take him. He's playing with the backups and he has no potential. So try to get some with more upside. But yeah, like I said, I like some of these picks a lot. A couple I wasn't a fan of, but I think overall good team. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm a little bit lower on this team. I don't mind the Irving Gentry start, and I don't mind Hurts. Ridley in the fourth round, it's fine. I like him a little bit better in the fifth round. And I'm a lot lower on Caleb Johnson. I think it goes back to Arthur Smith, and I just don't trust him. I feel like that's going to be a situation where it's Caleb Johnson on some early downs, but Jalen Warren's going to play. And then Kenneth Gainwell's still going to have a role. And then Johnny Smith's a tight end, but he's going to end up with a couple of carries throughout the year. So in a PPR league, I don't trust him in the seventh round. That's where I have him valued in my chart and my rankings, but I probably would never end up actually picking him there, because I have players who got picked after this ranked ahead of him. And then late, I think the problem this team would run into is some of these rookies, and Cam Ward's fine, but the rest of these rookies, they seem viable. They could be viable during the second half of the year. Even Jack Besh, he's with the twos right now. He's done some nice things recently in camp. He could do something during the second half of the year for all we know. But the problem is, in a league like this, they're not going to be on your roster. You can't hold Kyle Williams and Jack Besh and Elijah Arroyo and wait 10 weeks to see if they're going to do anything, because you only have, this is a kicker and a defense, so you're only going to have 13 players. So the bench is a little bit weak. I'm not real. I don't trust Keon Coleman to separate, and I just don't. He wasn't that good with contested catches last year either. So I'm a little bit lower on this team.
Also, don't take a defense this early. You're just compromising your depth at that point. All right. So you did your team. So we have two more to go. Bro Brian at the 11th spot. He took Nakua and Henry. I worry about Nakua with Stafford's back. Man, I don't know. I mean, Garoppolo has produced some good fantasy receivers before, but it's definitely a downgrade for sure. Then you have Wilson and Hill. I'm not a fan of Hill. There's a lot of downside there. Even Wilson, playing with Justin Fields, I feel like that kind of curbs his upside, but I don't mind him. I'm not getting in on Hill. I think Judkin's taken a little too early, and it's an overreaction. I guess he just wanted to have fun there, but again, the running back who doesn't catch passes on a bad team, there are going to be some games where he does nothing, absolutely nothing. Now, against the soft defenses where the Browns are going to be competitive, then he could have some good games. But even still, I don't know, maybe he's still going to be suspended too. I just don't know how that's going to play out. So we'll see what happens. Laporta is banged up. I think he's going too early anyway, and we don't know how long he's going to be out. Jalen Warren, I don't know. I mean, he could be the starter, but I just don't know like what upside there is there. Higgins, I like. Don't take Godwin. Just please don't take Godwin. He's not going to play for a long time. Purdy's good quarterback in the 9th round. It was either May or Purdy for me, so I like May a little bit more. But Purdy has the easy schedule in the NFL. And you have Javonte Williams. I feel like he's going to lose his job quickly. Love Shipley. Like Hunter. And then you took Caleb Williams as upside quarterback around the team, which is fine. But yeah, some of these picks I just don't like. So what do you think about Brian's team?
Yeah, we had a team like this last week too, where I'll describe this team the same way. It could work, but it feels like too much has to go right for it to work. Nakua, he needs Stafford to get right there. We talked about how he had the epidural last week. I mean, my wife had epidurals to have babies. He's having an epidural so he could eat his Rice Krispies in the morning. Like that's not good. Derrick Henry, at some point he's not going to be Derrick Henry anymore. He's 31. The age cliff for running backs usually hits at 30, 29 or 30. I know he's built differently. I know he had DeMarco Murray early in his career. But still, I mean, that age cliff is going to come at some point. It could be this year. Garrett Wilson's got Justin Fields chucking the ball. He's hitting the water boy on the sideline. He's hitting the goalposts. So, it's not a bad pick I like Garrett Wilson there, but he does come with some risk. And Tyreek Hill, he's got all kinds of issues. You talked about Judkins. You talked about how Laporta's got some sort of an injury right now. And Purdy, I'm kind of down on that pick too. I took Brock Purdy as my starting quarterback last week. And I like Brock Purdy, but I even conceded last week. Somebody took Kyler Murray a pick or two after me. And I said, Kyler Murray, you could make the argument that that's a better pick than Brock Purdy. There are a few quarterbacks you could take in that range. Well, look where Kyler Murray went in this draft. He went like 3 rounds later. So I don't mind taking Purdy, but I don't like taking him where he did. Godwin, I don't mind drafting him, but that's still a little bit early now that it sure seems like he's going to be out for the first 4 weeks. Sounds like he's starting the season on the PUP list. I didn't want to believe it until I saw it because everybody said that, he had a chance to come back for the playoffs and, if they won a game, and clearly that wasn't going to happen.
No.
So, I feel like this team needs too much to go right for it to win this league.
Yeah, I've been saying I don't think he plays until November, which is kind of sad because he's a really good player. But just a lot of things going on there. Before we get to the last thing, we had a couple things. Noah's Isaiah Bond commentary. Well, it kind of touched on it when he was drafted, I guess. Which I think that's a really good late pick. With Bond, we don't know where he's going to play at. It says Cleveland, but he hasn't officially signed there unless it happened in the past hour and just missed it. But no, there's definitely an upside there for sure. He's missed all training camp, obviously, so I don't think he's going to do much to start the year, but he is talented, and so he could do stuff. Do you like that pick there?
Yeah, I think he needed to be picked in this draft based off the news today. I mean, I was going to take him if he didn't get picked there just so we could talk about him. For those of you who don't know who he is, Isaiah Bond was going to go in the 2nd round of the NFL draft this year. Yep. Okay, he's a vertical threat from Texas. He's not gonna be a high volume guy. He's never gonna be a high volume guy. But think of sort of like a Deshaun Jackson light. And he didn't get drafted at all because I heard some of the allegations really specifically, and I don't even want to talk about that. There was some stuff there that sounded real bad, like he was going to jail, and it made perfect sense why he didn't get drafted in the NFL draft. Well, he was cleared. The Browns signed him. Look, if you have dynasty leagues, you should have already put in significant claims for this guy. This is a day 2 caliber player. And one more thing. Sorry, I don't need to go off on a tangent about Isaiah Bond. Okay. So my first dynasty league is with my old ESPN stats and info buddies. And we've got open waivers because they still play fantasy football like it's 1996. And I went to go pick him up. He's not even in their player pool yet. So I texted him like, what are you guys doing over there? Why you don't have Isaiah Bond in your player? I think they have like Rich Gannon in their player pool. So I'm like, look, I'm dropping Woody Marks. I have dibs on Isaiah Bond when you guys decide to add him in December. But you should be picking this guy up. And I have a league. Well, now we roster like 45 players in this league, and it's 14 teams. But I put a $780 bid out of $1,000 bid. I put the rest of my blind bid on Isaiah Bond today. So he has some serious potential. Now, in redraft here, if we're really being truthful, he's probably not going to be much of a factor at all, or certainly not until like October, November, December, because the guy hasn't been in camp. He doesn't even know the playbook yet. So no, in a real league, you probably aren't drafting him here.
Yeah. Well, there's some other questions. Well, let's talk about the final team, then get to them. So the final team, US Aches, took Brian Thomas Jr. in the St. Brown. So solid start there. I'm not like high on St. Brown this year, but it's PPR. McBride at that point, like I usually don't like McBride because he's going like late 2, early 3, but late 3 at the end, it's fine. Henderson, loved Henderson. Then not as high on Connor. Connor himself said it's going to be 1A, 1B with Benson. Pickens round 6 is okay. He's usually going like round 4, which is too early. 6 is okay. Mayfield, I'm down on Montgomery, but 8th round could do worse. Ayuk don't take Ayuk. He's going to be sidelined for a long time with toward the ACL and MCL. Chubb has no explosion left. Mims, I feel like I'm tied to Mims karmically or something, just because like I've opened so many of his Rainmaker cards back in the day. But I'd rather have Franklin. Loveland, good value there in the 12th. I just don't want to take Detroit players, but if you're going to take St. Brown, you could pair him with Goff. Makes sense. So what are your thoughts on USA's team?
Yeah, I like this team a lot. Great start with the receivers. You got a little bit lucky there with McBride falling to you. Henderson, that's where he should go. He should go with late 3rd, early 4th round. Great pick. I don't mind Connor at all. That's the end of the 5th round. This is, I know he's 30 now. He's hitting that age cliff too, but he played all the snaps with the first team in the first preseason game, even though I did hear the comments about how it's going to be 1A and 1B. And so we don't know for sure how that'll shake out yet. But the end of the 5th round going into the 6th round, I think that's great value when you need a second running back. And then Pickens is there. I have Pickens at the end of the 4th round. That's a team that's going to throw the ball a lot. And it's going to be Lamb and Pickens for the most part, with a little bit of Ferguson sprinkled in. I like Mayfield. You missed on quarterbacks, and I don't know that I would have taken him ahead of Mahomes, but I don't mind that. And Montgomery's one of these guys. Well, I'm curious to know if you're with me on this. I don't like Montgomery for his cost either, but there's a part of me that kind of like concedes that, if Jahmyr Gibbs gets hurt, then it doesn't really matter where David Montgomery gets picked. He's going to end up being the league winner. Like I don't want him at his value, but I concede that that's a better pick than whoever I'm going to take if Gibbs gets hurt. Are you with me on that, or do you just not want him?
That's true. Like Gibbs has to get hurt for him to do anything in fantasy this year. Like his production is going to go down. Like Ben Johnson, his best friend's gone. He lost 2 offensive linemen. The schedule is going to be so tough. Toughest schedule in the NFL. So there's a lot of reasons to hate him. And if Gibbs stays healthy, like this guy's just not going to be a factor. But, if I took Charbonnet round 8, you can argue Montgomery in round 8 makes sense. I guess I'm just like so down on him because I always see him go round 6. Like in best ball, he goes round 6 usually. And then Charbonnet goes like round 9. So like that's a big disparity, obviously. But in the same round, it makes sense to take him round 8. So I feel better about that pick though.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have taken him there, instead of Scadaboo. I wasn't paying attention to that pick, but yeah, I think that was great value. Yeah, but I do like this guy's team.
Okay. All right. So we had some questions before we head out. Let's see. Where is this? Hampton over James Cook or Kyron. I like Hampton over James Cook, but not Kyron. What do you think?
I'm taking Kyron first by a mile, by about a round. And then I've got Cook and Hampton about even. If push came to shove, I have to go Hampton over Cook just because Hampton doesn't have Ty Johnson taking annoying targets, and right now, at least without Najee Harris there, he's going to be getting most of the carries. I know Kamani Vidal will probably factor in a little bit too.
Yeah, I think a little bit to start the year, but I think ultimately they will go more Hampton. I'm still high on Hampton, but I do like Kyron more. Nick says 12-man keeper league. I have pick 4 in the draft. Need to pick 2 to keep. BTJ cost pick 6, Bowers 7, Nico Collins 10, Bucky 11. Who do you keep? You have to go with the late guys, right? I mean, Collins 10, Bucky 11. That's just so much value. It's insane. So I would keep those. Do you agree?
Completely agree. You could still get, you can see the players that would be available in the 6th and 7th round, even though this is a keeper league that he's talking about. But Nico Collins in the 10th round, Bucky Irving in the 11th round. Nice job, Nick. Good work.
Yeah, that's great. Your team set up really well. Do we see Breece Hall and Hill getting traded? We talked about Breece Hall. We both think he's going to get traded. Hill less so, but he could be traded. I feel like he's kind of like worn out his welcome in Miami. And I said this yesterday. It feels like the early onset Antonio Brown when he was in Pittsburgh. Like they got tired of his act and they traded him. So I could see him being on the move too, especially if Miami's as bad as I think they will be this year.
I have absolutely nothing to add to that. Those are my thoughts exactly.
Okay. Garrett Wilson's a good receiver too. Definitely want to take him as my first receiver. Yeah, that's true. All right. Rendon says, great draft. Love the stream. Question for you. Would you rather start your draft with Jamar, London, Chase Brown, or Jamar, Bucky, and Chase Brown? Full PPR 10 team. All right. So Jamar, London, Chase Brown, or Jamar, Bucky, Chase Brown. I'd rather do the second one. I know some people love London, and I don't blame them for it. I just think that and I like nothing against London here. Is a really good player. Is a receiver 1, but Atlanta is going to run the heck out of the ball. They're going to run the ball, I think, more than any other team this year. Maybe the Eagles will run more, but they are going to run them a lot. I'm not talking about quarterback scrambles. I'm talking about just running backs. And I think that receiver is a little bit deeper than running back. So if you take care of your running backs early and just go Jamar, Jamar Chase, Bucky Irving, Chase Brown. You have 2 running backs there, and then you can add a third running back, but then you could just go heavy receiver. Whereas in the first one you have 2 receivers and a running back. You might be thin at running back a little bit, even though it is 10 teams. So I'd rather go with the second. What do you think?
Yeah, that one's close for me, but I'd take the second option as well. Then I'd be done drafting running backs, and I would be looking at receivers after that, which you can get away with it being a 10-team league.
Yeah. Eddie says, love Mike as a guest. Good insight. This is a good one. Yeah, Mike's the best.
Thank you. Eddie is the best. Eddie is the best. Thank you, Eddie.
No, check out Mike's individual videos. He's posted several of them this month, and they're all really good. Just definitely keep up with that, subscribe, and then you'll get to see Mike's videos. They're all outstanding.
I've got a big time feature coming up tomorrow on handcuff running backs. So I'm going to go over every running back situation in the league. Been working on it for the last couple of days and got all these graphics and everything. By all these graphics, I mean one graphic. So if you can check that out, thank you. Cassandra's awesome. Yeah. I mean, she's awesome. She's been on here for years.
Yes.
It's great. We've been able to interact on Twitter a little bit. And she gave me a hard time about Alexander Madison and his broken neck. And so thank you.
Yeah, Sandra's great. You guys are all great. That was my logic with picking Monty there. Yeah. It makes sense now. Up like Trump 24. In a keeper league, keeping Brian Thomas Jr. in the 9th round. Who should I take with the number 2, Chase or Bijan? In the normal PPR work league, the dude with the number 1 is taking Justin Jefferson. Okay. Well, I mean, it's hard not knowing the rest of your team. I would rather go Bijan because I think, like I said before, receiver is a little deeper than running back. So without knowing the rest of the team, I think I would go Bijan. What do you think?
I'm going Jamar Chase there, and
okay.
I'm starting that league with Jamar Chase and Brian Thomas. Wow, nice job, and you should buy a coffee for that guy with the number 1 pick.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, maybe he's just a Vikings fan, and that's okay. If you want to play fantasy that way, it's fine.
Thor Nystrom.
I love Thor. I haven't spoken to Thor in a while, but yeah, he's that was a fun dinner that we had. It was Thor, Charlie, and I. Charlie and me we were eating dinner at the Mall of America. I don't know what restaurant it was, but they have like a bunch of restaurants on the fourth floor. For those of you who haven't been there, and yeah, we just talked about the NFL draft like for 3 hours. That's all we did. Yeah, Mike is great. Yes, 100% agreed. I've watched your videos, Mike. Yeah, lots of love for Mike here, and well deserved. But yeah, that's all the questions that we have for tonight. Thank you guys so much for watching, commenting, and participating in the draft. No show tomorrow because we have NFL preseason games same Saturday, but we'll be back on Tuesday. That's just Monday Night Football game. It's Bengals Redskins, so we'll be back Tuesday to do more drafts. But yeah, Mike, you want to say anything on the way out? Maybe plug your site, NFLroughdraft.com.
Yeah, I run the NFL draft site that, my buddy Ray Mencio and I have been doing from about the time where I started working at ESPN back in the day, a couple decades ago. Not as long as Walter Football's been around, but close. But no, whatever. That's a hobby, but I've really enjoyed being able to do these videos, for Walter Football. You mentioned the preseason games. I'm going to have all of the reactions from that. I feel like I've gotten pretty good over the years at sort of being able to determine what makes a difference, what are people overreacting to in terms of the preseason. But more than anything, I just want to say, like, these guys in the comments, you guys made my night, so thank you for that. And Walt, I love you, so thank you for having me on again. I'm having a blast with this, and I think we all are. I love football season.
Yeah, it's always great to have you on, Mike. It's always awesome. All right, guys. Yeah, once again, thank you so much. Please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit walterfootball.com for tons of content. It's all free. We have everything: fantasy rankings, picks against the spread, NFL mock drafts. Great every signing, great every trade. But yeah, we'll be back on Tuesday. We're gonna have a ton of content over the weekend, updated articles, and we're gonna have preseason recaps, preseason stock reports as usual. And Mike, like you said, he's gonna have this great video tomorrow about the handcuff running backs and all sorts of other videos on here. I'm gonna post a new video as well tomorrow morning. So, all right, guys. I hope you guys have a great night and a great weekend, and I will talk to you.